organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, see what former University of Iowa student is giving a speech at the Democratic National Convention.
Plus find out why many young adults are living at home after graduation.
And in sports, we have this weekend's matchup against Iowa State covered in our Daily Iowan TV Sports pregame.
That's all coming your way next. Daily Iowan TV starts now.
I'm Tom Brokaw. For more than 100 years now, the University of Iowa community has been waking up to the Daily Iowan. Today, it's the largest newsroom in eastern Iowa. And now you can see the news every night on Daily Iowan TV and get it anytime worldwide at dailyiowan.com.
Good evening and welcome to your Thursday edition of Daily Iowan TV. I'm Tasha Woods.
And I'm Muriel Kone.
A former University of Iowa student is speaking tonight at the Democratic National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina. Zach Wahls became an overnight internet sensation in 2011 after he made a speech to the Iowa State legislature supporting gay rights. Wahls grew up in Iowa City with two mothers. He argued that his family was no different than any other Iowan and should be treated equally by law. Wahls announced he would be speaking at tonight's convention in a tweet yesterday. His speech will once again focus on gay rights in support of the Obama campaign. Obama is giving his acceptance speech at the convention tonight and will be in New Hampshire tomorrow morning, the same place GOP candidate Mitt Romney will be. Romney will hold a rally at summer basketball team Friday evening, while President Obama will be in Iowa City Friday afternoon.
President Obama is speaking on the University of Iowa Pentecrest tomorrow afternoon. Access opens at 1 p.m. and the president will be speaking around 5:20 p.m. Remember that much of the Pentecrest, Old Capitol, Jessup Hall, and McBride will be closed tomorrow morning. Also, don't forget that Clinton Street and Iowa Ave will also be closed beginning at 10 a.m. and will reopen at 10 p.m. The chairman of the Republican National Committee is visiting the Johnson County Victory Office in Coralville tonight to campaign for Romney in light of the president's visit.
After graduation, about half of young adults are finding themselves living at home with their parents. The University of Iowa claims to have a job placement rate of 92%. Daily Iowan TV's Rebecca Hoger explains why these numbers can be deceiving.
Zoe Mayberry is not undereducated. In fact, she has 2 degrees in Spanish and International Studies. Yet both of her post-college jobs haven't even required a degree.
I was never using Spanish, and I don't use it that much now, except when I'm helping out with housekeeping. And it just felt like I could be doing so much more.
You'll find that many former Hawkeyes have had similar experiences. Yet according to the University of Iowa's admissions page, 92% of the university's liberal arts students are able to find a job or graduate school within 6 months after graduation.
Currently, there are no laws regarding how universities should perform surveys like this, but oftentimes the numbers can be misleading. Many students choose not to respond, and whether or not their job is related to their field of study is subjective.
People will say that they are working in their field, even if it's kind of tangentially so. For instance, I might have a marketing degree, but right now I'm at Starbucks as the assistant manager.
The survey also doesn't reflect if it's part-time work or internships, or if the student is even making enough money to stay financially stable.
We have students who are definitely challenged to find something that really works for them. And I think, in a way, you're the first wave of what I think the future kind of looks like.
For a lot of students, finding work that they're overqualified for is the easiest option after graduation. And as for Zoe, she wouldn't necessarily say that she's underemployed, but she's excited about the potential for growth. Rebecca Hager, Daily Iowan TV.
Thank you for that report, Rebecca. Polling for the UI's 2012 graduates will be taking place in December. The Big Iowa State rivalry game heats up this Saturday, and many fans are ready to cheer on the Hawks. Let's check in with Alyssa Bergamini to see what weather can be expected for the big game. Alyssa?
Thanks, Tasha. Well, the weekend has finally arrived, and Hawkeye fans will be happy to know that football weather is on its way for the home opener this Saturday. But for Friday morning, we will start out with some high chances of thunderstorms. Then in the afternoon, the temperature will get slightly warmer, with thunderstorms still coming our way. And finally, the night will cool off and reach down into the 50s. Looking ahead on the bright side, for Saturday's football game, the sun will be in full effect with high temperatures of 77 degrees. And as Sunday approaches, the weather will stay warm and mainly sunny. Jumping ahead into next week, Monday will be partly cloudy with a high of 78 degrees, and Tuesday will be the warmest we get with 84 degrees. Lastly, Wednesday will cool down a bit, and very likely there will be a period of rain early in the day. So enjoy the weekend before the thunderstorms start rolling in. That's all for weather. Back to you guys at the desk.
The University of Iowa's Hockapalooza kicked off Thursday night in Hubbard Park. The pep rally event featured a concert by hip-hop artist T-Pain. Scope Productions coordinated the event and started setting up for it on Tuesday. This was the 4th annual Hockapalooza, free to students and the general public.
In other news, demolition of an old bank building in downtown Iowa City yesterday uncovered a bit of a surprise. A mural of 3 American bison was found on the wall from over 30 years ago. Several former University of Iowa students painted the mural in the mid-1970s as part of the city beautification project. The bank is being cleared to make way for a 14-story building by local developer Mark Moen. Officials of the project say that they don't think there's any way the mural can remain uncovered.
And now Daily Iowan TV's Lauren Moss and Josh Bolander are here for a look at Hawkeye sports.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Iowan TV Sports pregame show.
We've spent all week preparing to make sure you have everything you need to know about the Black and Gold's home opener against in-state rival Iowa State this Saturday. Whether it's player interviews, expert analysis, or inside reporting you want, we have it all.
Plus, as always, we'll be talking to special guests from around the country to get you as much perspective as possible during our new hit segment, the Daily Iowan TV Sports 2-Minute Drill.
But before we fill you in on the 60th meeting between the Hawks and the Cyclones, Josh, Daily Iowan TV Sports football reporter Nick Rector tells you why Saturday's contest could get interesting.
When the Hawkeyes face off with in-state rivals Iowa State on Saturday, you can bet they will only have one thing on their mind: revenge. That's because last year, Iowa fell to the Cyclones 44-41 in a devastating triple overtime defeat. To win this year's matchup, the Hawkeyes will have to accomplish what they couldn't do last year: shut down ISU quarterback Steele Jantz. Last year against the Hawkeyes, Jantz had one of the best games in Iowa State quarterback history, passing 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, and rushing for 42 yards. One advantage the Hawkeyes do have this weekend is that the game is in Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City. Iowa does seem to play better at home, winning 4 of the last games against ISU at Kinnick Stadium. However, since Ferentz has been head coach at Iowa, the Hawkeyes have only won 6 of their last 14 games versus ISU. So while college football fans across the state may argue who will win this weekend's matchup between Iowa and Iowa State, one thing is for sure: whoever does win the game will be king of the state for another year. Nick Rector, Daily Iowan TV Sports.
Thanks, Nick. And now we're going to head over to the Daily Iowan newsroom where Ian Martin caught up with Daily Iowan Sports pregame editor Sam Luagi for an insider's take look at this weekend's historical rivalry game.
Hey, thanks guys. I'm here in the Daily Iowan newsroom with pregame editor Sam Luagi. And first off, Sam, last week Iowa's passing game, usually one of its strengths, had a really tough time against Northern Illinois. Do you think that that's going to continue this week against Iowa State?
Well, they had a really tough time in Soldier Field. Vandenberg was under heavy pressure pretty much all afternoon. He was sacked 6 times, more than any other quarterback in Division I.
And going from the Iowa quarterback to the Iowa State quarterback, last year Iowa State winning a dramatic 3 overtime game over the Hawkeyes. A lot of that credited to Steele Jantz, the scrambling, quick quarterback out of the ISU backfield. Scrambling quarterbacks tend to give Iowa a little bit of trouble. How do you think they're going to game plan against Steele Jantz?
That's something they've struggled with for years now, going back years. And the hope was that with the new defensive coordinator this year, it would be different. But Jordan Lynch of Northern Illinois kind of did the same thing to him last week. So, Kirk Ferentz talked about how just everyone needs to contain, and it falls on defensive ends and outside linebackers. And we'll see if they can do it this year against Steele Jantz.
certainly, and the Hawkeyes will try to get a little bit of revenge for last year's loss to Iowa State tomorrow in Kinnick Stadium. That's all for us here in the newsroom. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Ian. And now it's time to welcome you back to the Daily Iowan TV Sports 2-Minute Drill. We are pleased to welcome back friend of the show and voice of the Hawkeyes, Gary Dolphin. And Gary, the Hawks are currently last in the nation when it comes to sacks given up. How do we keep James Vandenberg on his feet this weekend?
How do we keep James Vandenberg on his feet? Well, historically, he's played much better at home than he has on the road for a variety of reasons. But then again, what how do we keep James Vandenberg on his feet? Well, historically, he's played much better at home than he has on the road for a variety of reasons. But then again, what college quarterback doesn't play better at home? So I'm confident that the mistakes, however many of them there were, that the offensive line made last week in pass protection, I'm including the tight ends here, as Kirk said after the game, they're correctable errors. So I have no doubt if there's one area that Coach Ferentz, and in this case Brian and/or Kirk, can get corrected in a hurry, it would be, I would think, offensive line.
Thank you, Gary.
Okay, Josh. Anytime. Bye.
Next up in the drill, we bring in ESPN.com's Big Ten blogger, Brian Bennett. And Brian, last year's game was a 44-41 thriller. Are you expecting another close contest this time around in Iowa City?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting game, a close game. I don't think Iowa really has, a lot of margin for error right now with the team that it has. It's got a lot of got some holes, I think, in certain places. And, Iowa State didn't look real good, obviously, in the beginning of that game against Tulsa. They did manage to come back and win that game and then play much better in the second half. But I don't think either team is, an elite team at this point. I do like the fact that Iowa's at home. I think there's definitely going to be a revenge factor from last year. But I look for it to be a close game. I think I favor Iowa being at home. They made a lot of mistakes in last year's games. I think they'll clean some of that up. So I look for Iowa to probably win in a close one.
And finally, we are pleased to be joined for the first time by HawkeyeInsider.com's Rob Howe. And Rob, obviously there's a lot to look forward to on the gridiron come Saturday. What's the matchup you are most intrigued by?
Yeah, it's got to be quarterback Steele Jantz against the Iowa defensive line and Iowa front seven, really. And I guess you could probably say the whole defense with the way he played last year. It's going to take probably that to slow him down. Iowa's had problems with mobile quarterbacks in the past. He can also pass the ball. So we'll see what happens there. They're going to have to be balanced on defense, but obviously they got to keep him from making plays. They gave up the big play last week to Lynch. That could have cost them. They don't want to see that happen again this week. So I think a big part of the outcome will be determined on how they play against Steele Jantz.
Appreciate it, Rob.
No problem, Josh. Thanks, man.
And only with Daily Iowan TV Sports can you get a preview of tomorrow's coverage for the Daily Iowan Special pregame edition. On this week's front page, you can catch, no pun intended, wide receiver Keenan Davis. Daily Iowan TV Sports' own player insider Annie Constable caught up with the Cedar Rapids native.
Annie Constable standing alongside Keenan Davis. Keenan, can you talk about the passing game? Your coach has said it wasn't exactly where you wanted to be. What's going to be the difference this week?
It's definitely just taking that film that we've learned and seeing our mistakes and then going out and just applying that for the next game and really just trying to execute everything.
Can you talk about converting in the red zone? You guys had many opportunities throughout the game. How is that strategy going to change come Saturday?
I don't think we're going to change the strategy. It's just more execution. I think that, it was good to see us in the red zone a lot. And, it was a good thing. But we definitely need to learn from our mistakes now.
The age-old question everyone asks, can you talk about the rivalry, especially growing up in Iowa, what it's been like for you, and now playing on this team, what it's like playing Iowa State?
It's being from here. It's fun. It's always a fun game, and I've been kind of part of the Iowa State rivalry for like my whole life because being a Hawk fan and everything, and always come to the games, and it's fun to actually be part of it and be playing in it, and it's very humbling. And
well, that's all for us here at pregame.
Be sure to tune in this Sunday for highlights of the battle for the Cy Hawk Trophy. Go Hawks!
And beat State.
And only with Daily Iowan TV can you get a sneak peek at Friday's pages of the Daily Iowan. Read about how the University of Iowa's Hospital and Clinic's kid captain for this weekend's home football game.
And learn about the progress of Iowa City's housing market.
That's your latest edition of Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to check us out on Sunday or at any time online at dailyiowan.com.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.